Welcome to the Business Spotlight podcast. My name is David Beeson. I am your host for today's conversation. My guest today is Orlando Rios, the owner of Raised by Coyotes. We're going to be talking about his business, journey to business ownership, challenges, best practices, and share a peek of what it's really like to build and operate a business. Orlando, welcome to the show and thank you for being here today. I would love for you to give us a little bit of background of who you are and tell us a little bit about your business as well.
Absolutely happy to be on the show. As you mentioned, my name's Orlando, and the owner of Raised by Coyotes. We are a Western apparel brand, born out of Texas, and yeah, kind of a business that just kind of sprouted out of nowhere, but is really tied to my upbringing and everything I've experienced growing up here in Texas.
Awesome, awesome. What part of Texas are you originally from?
Originally from South Texas, so I always tell people I literally grew up across the street from the King Ranch in a small
Mm.
town called Kingsville, Texas. Most people are not familiar with Kingsville, Texas, but if you mention the King Ranch or just say south of Corpus Christi, that's where that is.
Yeah, I grew up in Texas my whole life, and I'd never heard of Kings Ranch. I'm from a little town outside of Houston called Magnolia. So, um, yeah, Houston or not Houston, Texas is a such a big state that I think it's so easy to kind of like not know certain parts. Like how big West Texas is and South Texas and things like that.
For sure, yeah, there's a lot of small towns in between all the metropolitans, so it's easy to get lost and not know the entire state. I mean, I think everybody gets a pass on that.
Yeah, definitely. So, generally speaking, just kind of setting the stage for the audience. What's your current ownership structure? Like, are you the sole founder and owner? Do you have a business partner, outside investors?
Yeah, I'm sole founder and self-funded. Never took any type of capital venture capital of any sort. Uh, Bootstrapped it all the way from the very beginning.
Awesome, awesome. And tell me a little bit about what role you currently play in the business. Like, what's a day in the life of Orlando?
Yeah, a little bit different probably than other brands of our size. I just happen to have a lot of experience and expertise in multiple facets of running an e-com business. I grew up basically marketing. All my jobs that I've had before this business and other businesses have all been marketing. And along the way, I learned all about things like Shopify and Facebook ads and all the facets that go really into running an e-com business. So my day to day is a little bit of everything. I mean, I'm still running our marketing. I still, you know, run the business as a business owner. And then I'm still tinkering around in Shopify with our website and our Facebook ads and all that stuff just because I know it and I've had so much experience with it. So I'm a little bit more hands-on than most business owners for a company of this size for sure.
Awesome, awesome. And when you look at your role, how many hours would you say you're spending working in your business, so the job itself, and how many on the business, strategy, planning, etc.?
I've never tracked it. And it's very difficult to do so because I'll go from 1 minute to being CEO and working on a legal issue or a trademark issue or whatever that might be to the next I'm updating a product page. It's like
Yeah.
it's whatever's needed at the time at that moment, and there's no set hours. It's whenever I need to do something, I need to do it. Or if I have an idea and I'm really excited about it, I got to get on it. Um, but during the dead time, then I hit the golf course instead. That's kind of the way
Awesome.
it
Yeah.
works.
Yeah, I'm a big golfer as well. Been playing pretty much my whole life. My dad was a big golfer, so I think I had my first golf club in my hand whenever I was two. So I've been playing for forever. This is always a kind of a fun question I like to ask. If I were to give you an extra 10 hours each week, how would you invest those hours? Would it be in the business, personal time, golfing time?
It would not be in the business. It would be on improving myself, probably physically or mentally somehow, either, getting more work in the gym or actually you said playing more golf. And, golf to me is not a leisure. Golf to
Hmm.
me is I kind of competitive. So I use it as competition within myself to see if I could get better. And it's a good comparison to life in general.
Hmm.
things will go good, things will go bad, and you have to battle through it through the end. So, yeah, I would spend those extra 10 hours outside the business improving myself as a person, which I think will come around to help the business at the end.
Yeah. This is not a golf podcast, but to all the other business owners listening, if you don't play golf, I recommend learning to play golf. Main reason why that I say that, for me personally, golf is a sport where you have to focus 100%. You can't, the second that your mind starts wandering while you're going to hit a shot, you're going to shank the shot. It's going to go right, it's going to go left, it's not going to go where you want. And the reason why me, someone who does own my own business and does a lot of my own things, why I like to play golf is because I can go out there on the course for a couple hours and clear my head. I can completely clear everything that's going on, and I can then just, whenever I get back to work, I'm refreshed. I'm able to get back into it, and I know exactly what I need to do. Where whenever I don't play for too long, I kind of start getting a little bit more scatterbrained. The most beautiful thing for me with golf is just being able to focus on something completely different and clear my head.
Absolutely. I use it a lot of the same way. Uh, Actually, when I play when I play less, I seem to get a little bit better. Maybe I'm too invested when I'm out there.
Yeah,
But yeah, to each his own.
yeah, exactly. So why'd you choose to go into business for yourself as opposed to like maybe working for like another Western clothing brand?
I've always owned businesses. I started my first business at 19 in publishing a magazine and had a music festival
Oh,
and
wow.
and then I didn't have my first quote unquote real job till my mid 20s and I did that for a while. And then once I got out of that, I started my own marketing agency, which I had for like 5 or 6 years before I started the apparel brand. So I've always been entrepreneurial. Even when I was a kid, I was always trying to sell things and find ways to profit off of whatever. Um, I was just very, very early on in my childhood. I was really interested in that stuff. I was probably the youngest kid to have uh, a subscription to Entrepreneur magazine that I asked my parents to get me. So it's always been something I've always loved doing.
Yeah, that's awesome. Um, as you look back on your journey so far, what has been the most memorable like roadblock that you kind of had to overcome?
I mean, it seems like there's a new one every year. Um, Most recent, obviously, the tariff situation for us was
Mm,
a big out of nowhere hurdle that we had to navigate
mm.
around. Um, there's always something. It's hard to pinpoint just one.
Yeah, and with the tariff situation with you guys, what impact did that kind of have on your growth as like a business and a business owner?
On the growth, it didn't have much of an impact, but it created tight squeezes.
Mm,
Whenever you're in a business of this type, there's a very delicate cash flow situation where you're putting money into inventory, you're putting money into marketing, and you got to realize those returns on investment within a specific time frame. Uh, Once that cash flow cycle gets interrupted, it creates issues and problems uh, down the pipeline. So for us with the tariff issue, and I'm sure just pretty much any other consumer product good business, especially since things changed every week, every day, every hour, uh, it was impossible to plan. And when you're dealing with big inventory shipments coming in, and you're dealing on percentage based taxes and tariffs, you know, your inventory bill can increase by 100% in some
mm,
cases.
yeah.
And how do you didn't plan for that, and you have certain margins and all that stuff that just get killed. So you have to think about a lot of different things. Like, should I raise product prices? Should I keep them the same and just go through it? There's a lot of things, and it was a problem for a lot of people.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense. Um, yeah, no, I mean, I completely get that. I think the tariffs affected a lot of like non-business owners as well, just with a lot of like prices going up in certain areas, things like that. Yeah, it makes sense that it would affect a clothing brand as well, just with like how much y'all probably have to ship out, ship
For
in, things
sure,
like that.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Um,
I mean, it was a big deal. So
yeah. So, so what makes your business and your products unique? How do you communicate how like y'all stand out against your competition?
yeah, for sure. So, we know that there's golf polos on the market already. We know that
Mhm.
there's Western pearl snaps on the market already. They've been around for forever. Um, the kind of core quote that we kind of use are, shirts that basically introduce themselves.
Mhm.
And so we wanted to make something that were conversational pieces, but more importantly, designs that spoke to the culture, traditions, um, things that in a lot of ways that I grew up around. So I'll give you some examples. One of our top sellers is our Javelina Paradise Pearl Snap, where we have some javelinas on there and some prickly pear cactus. Uh, that inspiration came from my time growing up in Kingsville. Our
Mhm.
mascot for the local university was the javelina. So I wanted to make something that kind of represented, that, and it worked. And so everything we do has something to do with a cultural connection, so that when somebody sees our designed product, they have that connection. Whereas opposed to like, we could just throw a, Sendero, a saguaro cactus and a cowboy hat on something like that doesn't really speak to anybody. People might like it, but nobody's going to be like, oh, I feel connection to this. Whereas,
Yeah.
we have our river float polo that has, cowboys, floating down the river, which, that's a popular thing to do in Texas.
Oh yeah.
And people are gonna have memories of floating the river and stuff. So maybe they'll have a better connection there. So that's the goal with everything we do to help us stand out. And I think it's been working for us.
Yeah, and I love that. I mean, even me, whenever I graduated high school, me and all my friends, our summer trip before college was we went to the Frio and we went and rode the Frio. I think most people in Texas have some sort of experience going to the river at some point. So I do love that that was one of your inspirations for design. As someone who grew up here and everything, I think that's perfect.
Yeah. And also like, early on, like over 4 years ago, like one of our best sellers that we came out with was a, Texas barbecue polo. Like
Yeah,
nobody had come out with a shirt
that's crazy.
glorifying Texas barbecue. And so I was like, well, we're going to be the first one. So we came out with that and put, beef cut charts on the shirt, and state of Texas, and brisket and ribs and all that stuff. And same thing, it's a story that spoke to people's interest and things they're nostalgic about necessarily. And so that's what we try to do.
Yeah, that's awesome. I didn't realize that y'all were like the first to like do that. That's crazy. You would think that people would have been doing that for like 30 years, like putting barbecue on shirts, like Texas barbecue on shirts.
Yeah, it was funny is like when we got started, we first were just a polo company, golf polo company. And there's all these things that were missing from the marketplace that nobody like. One of the things that we were the first to come out with was a crawfish boil polo, and nobody had come out with one. Now everybody else is doing it too, right? But like, um, just these little things, these little cultural moments, these little seasonal, uh, things that are unique to Texas or wherever, and that we can kind of like build that story around is always the goal.
Yeah, Father's Day is going to be coming up here in the next month or so. My father-in-law loves all those things, so I'm going to go to y'all's website. I'm going to buy a bunch of stuff for him for Father's Day. Um, yeah, because he's like from Louisiana, or he's from Texas, moved to Louisiana, moved back. So like the crawfish boil, he has like pretty much every weekend in March is a crawfish boil. So it's like got to get him some of that stuff. He goes and floats the river. He's like Texas, like that's who he is
Yeah.
Texas,
Well, yeah, it sounds like our target audience. So,
Yeah, exactly. So I'm gonna send him y'all's website too. Um, but yeah, so kind of transitioning a little bit into marketing. I know you said that you have a big background in marketing. I also have a background in marketing. I've done digital marketing for the last 8 years now. Wow, I'm getting older. For the last 8 years, I've been doing marketing. So, um, I'm curious what a successful business like yours is doing. What percentage of your monthly sales typically goes back into your marketing budget?
As much as needed.
Hmm.
I don't,
I love that
I've
answer.
never been the type to set like a specific budget and like that's it. It's I monitor obviously, Meta ad spend is going to be our biggest marketing expense every single month, right? And when things are working, when things are hitting, we increase. When things are not, we decrease. It's that simple. Obviously, we have our guidelines. I'm not going to go spend $1 million on marketing in a month because
Hmm.
we don't have $1 million to spend on marketing in a month. Um,
Yeah.
there's some guardrails there, but it's very flexible.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense. So, what kind of different marketing strategies do y'all use? I know that you just said meta ads, which makes sense that that would be your target with it being clothing and stuff. You want to get the brand right in front of people's eyes. But what other kind of strategies are y'all using as well?
Yeah, we do some product seeding, like where we send out product to uh, content creators on Instagram, TikTok, and anybody that has some kind of little following that might share our stuff on their feeds. We do, in a lot of ways, I look at retail as another avenue. It's, we're making money from it. Um, could we make more money if we just sold all of our product online direct to customer? Absolutely. Rather than, having to have wholesale costs. But I kind of look at that as a marketing expense in some aspects, just because I don't know how many times, we're now in well over 100 stores now, and, they only carry so many of the designs. So if somebody finds our
Yeah,
stuff there, they like it, good chance they're going to come across our ad online or they're going to come to our website organically and see if there's anything else they like. So that's kind of the strategy that we have going on right now. Obviously, Meta is probably the top for sure in social media advertising, but then after that, product seeding, retail, are are in the mix as well.
gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, makes sense. Um, kind of going into a little bit about the team and the team building aspect. How big currently is the team?
Yeah, currently we're about a team of six. Um, fairly small team. Like I said, I take care of a lot of tasks just because of my
Hmm.
experience. Um, we have our designers, we have our technical designers, we have uh, email marketing. We have uh, financial as well. Um, people in the core spots, and so not a big team, but a very mighty team that can do a lot of big things with what we got.
That's awesome. Yeah. Um, and with um, I know that you said that you wear a lot of hats and things like that. I am curious, in the long term goal, do you want to kind of like phase back and just be like pure CEO, or do you kind of enjoy being a part of the day to day and doing a lot of different things?
Yeah, that's something I wrestle with daily. There's definitely a joy that I get out of a lot of the things that I do. There are some aspects that already began to let go of just because of my expertise level may not be there. I've been doing it and I've been doing it well, but you know, there's some things that could be done better. Like I'll give you an example: product sourcing.
Hmm.
I'm not a product sourcing expert. I've been doing it for the last 6 years, and it's been working okay, but there's a lot of aspects of that specific role that maybe I'm not as trained at or good at and haven't experience at for our growth level and where we're seeing we're going over the next handful of years. So that's like an area that might warrant somebody that has more experience there. So things like that, I kind of feel like I'll always kind of be part of the marketing and also part of the design element of the product. Uh, but things like that, I'm willing to let go of.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So whenever a team and hiring your team and stuff like that, are y'all looking to kind of expand the team during 2026 or 2027?
I think we're pretty good right now. Those are things
Yeah,
that, we kind of think about as we go, and if a common problem keeps occurring where I think another person could solve it, we're always open to that.
awesome. Yeah. Well, we're gonna transition to a couple rapid fire questions if you're ready.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. What is the key to success for you?
Key to success for me is to be adaptable and put 100% into every idea that I believe is going to be fruitful for the company.
Awesome. What is your one piece of advice for other business owners?
Have patience, have grace. Everything is going to be good, everything is going to be bad, and it's going to be a seesaw between the two.
Awesome. What is a good book or podcast you're listening to right now?
I love to listen to Diary of a CEO, not for
Yeah, that's a great
business
one.
reasons, but for health reasons. I'm
Mm,
a big believer that if you want to be your best in anything you do, including business, you have to take care of yourself, your health, and have to be fit to be able to serve the company and others.
yeah, yeah, that's interesting. I haven't heard someone say for health reasons, but for Diary of a CEO, but that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of good health content on that podcast recently.
This is kind of a fun question I always like to ask. If you had a little bit of magic dust and you could choose one spot in your business to sprinkle it, everything would be perfect. Where would it be and why?
Magic Desk, obviously, I put it on my biggest expense, and that's advertising. Advertising a really tough game. If I could just have Magic Desk for advertising, they will always be good, and everything always works. It'd be unstoppable.
Yeah, yeah. I think a lot of people would agree with you there. Well, before we get to the final question of the day, would you like to share with our audience how they can learn more, follow you, contact you guys?
Yeah, website is raisedbycoyotes.com. Run Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all those things. Um, I myself am on Twitter or X, I think it's called now. Yeah, at Orlando Rios, and I'm always spouting off there random things. So if you're into that,
Awesome.
that's where you can find me.
Awesome. Well, we've come to the final question of the day, and that is what is most inspiring to you today?
What's most inspiring to me today is uh, people's resolve, no matter what comes across the desk or life and in this country and what people are going through. We seem to be able to push through and adapt and keep going. So I hope we can continue to do that.
Awesome. Yeah. I love that answer. I think adapting is super important in any company, especially with like a lot of the times and everything going on right now.
For sure,
Um,
yeah.
well, this was a great conversation. I really enjoyed hearing your story, so thank you so much for sharing. Also, I just encourage all of you watching to save the show and come back and watch it again because Orlando really did have some great insights for business. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel so we get notifications every time a new conversation drops, just like this one. Thank you to everyone who joined us today, and a special thanks to you, Orlando, for being with us. We really appreciate it.
You bet. Thanks.
I will see you all in the next episode.